boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And I, for the most part, enjoy Netflix, right? As an adult, there's a lot of shows on there that appeal to me. They've done a lot of really good adaptations. Some of my favorite IPs out there. And so we've got some good stuff. We've also gotten some really bad things from Netflix as well, right? Netflix is definitely very much a mixed bag. For every One Piece we get a Cuties, or we get a name your favorite anime that they've screwed up on. Most Cowboy Bebop is another prime example, or even the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. A lot of people didn't seem to appreciate that one very much either out there. And that's one of the biggest problems out there. I think for adults, I don't think there's anything really wrong with the platform. We're wise enough that we kind of know to avoid things and stuff like that. But Netflix at the exact same time has clearly never delineated between whether or not they're okay with the propaganda or whether or not they're okay with making common sense and actually doing things with the source material and stuff like that. They've been a very mixed bag, but clearly they have been down for the spirit of the age for a very long time because they allow children's content filled with propaganda on their streaming service, qualified for there. You can watch it on kids' Netflix. And I think if a lot of parents actually saw any of these shows out there, they would have a major issue and make sure that they avoid letting their kids on Netflix in any way, shape, or form. And one of those parents that just discovered a lot of the insanity that's been going on over there at Netflix and some of the kind of creators that have been allowed to be employed and have their propaganda spewed down to children all over the world is none other than Elon Musk. And boys and girls, Elon Musk's cancellation of his Netflix account has now sparked a massive amount of fervor out there into the world, and a whole bunch of other people now that we have once again rediscovered something that we should have never not seen to begin with, but because of the way things were before and the limited additions on how much we could speak about things and how far a lot of those images could go, well, guess what? Now Elon Musk, in his platform, has brought this absolute evil abomination of indoctrination into children's entertainment right back into the forefront. And boys and girls, a lot of people are hopping mad about it. People are canceling their stuff left and right. And after you hear what this show contains and some of the juicy details behind what it is, well, guess what, boys and girls? Unlike Disney, who actually canceled a bunch of their children's propaganda, Netflix still has all of this very much alive and well on their platform for your children to consume and be possessed by the spirit of the age, exactly like the devil wants. So we're going to check this article from cosmicbook.news and, of course, jump over to thatparkplace.com as well for some even more juicy details about this insane show and the kind of backlash that it has raised not only from Elon Musk, but so many other people out there. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,200. We're inching our way closer and closer to 23 on our journey to 100,000, and I could not do that without every single one of you. And I quite literally mean that. The algorithm, we've been kind of naughty boys. Remember how we talked about that kind of stuff earlier? And they have definitely not been very nice to us. So if you haven't already, make sure you like, smash, subscribe, share all this out with all your friends. Help us out. Leave comments in the section down below. All that stuff helps out with the algorithm. And at the end of the day, the algorithm can be defeated. It's just a math equation, and 2 + 2 = 4, and enough of us can absolutely overwhelm that. So I certainly do appreciate all of you guys out there that leave comments in the section down below. But also, not only just because of the algorithm, I want to hear from you. Let us know what you guys think about this. Is this caused you? Were you aware of this show and this kind of propaganda existing on Netflix? Will this cause you to cancel your subscription? Is this going to cause you not to allow your children anywhere near your Netflix accounts? Are you going to cancel your Netflix kids little section on there as well? What are you going to just make sure you avoid this kind of stuff going forward? Do you think this will actually have a major impact on Netflix's bottom line in any way, shape, or form? Let us know what you think relevant in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, so Elon Musk leaves wave of Netflix cancellations over kids show pushing gender ideology to 7-year-olds. But I do love our Matt McGloin over here, so let's check this out a little bit as well because he's got great screenshots from libs of TikTok and everything else. Elon Musk calls out Netflix after LGBTQ plus animated film director Hamish Steele mocked the assassination of Charlie Kirk, allegedly. Steele, creator of Dead Enders and Netflix's Dead End Paranormal Park, posted on Blue Sky calling Kirk a Yahtzee and dismissing his death with profanity-laced comments. Screenshots of Steele post quickly spread online after libs of TikTok highlighted it, pointing out Steele's background and ties to Netflix. The action was swift. Musk responded to the post directly, calling Steele a groomer. Well, if you're trying to target children with LGBT propaganda, stuff that includes sex, sexualizing kids and making think about things that only adults should think about, at best teenagers, well then, yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. When former Department of Energy nuclear scientist Matt Von Swoll replied, that he had just canceled his Netflix subscription, Musk reposted with a single response: same. So needless to say, that's a lot of it. The exchange has gone viral, with users praising Musk for taking a stand and urging others to follow his lead by canceling their Netflix subscription. And it's one of them situations where this is kind of where all of this comes down to, because this is the show that's all what this is all around out there. Because Dead End Paranormal is a show that Netflix rated for children's ages 7 and up, despite centering its story around gender ideology and pride-centric characters. So literally, intentionally, and it's always funny that they chose pride, right? Like the OG sin. Like if you couldn't tell who their master was by their own personal propaganda and their pride, like, are you even paying attention? But then at the end of the day, I guess the best trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he didn't exist. But seriously, pride. Like literally, there's nothing but sin that they're trying to introduce to your children. The controversy flared up after clips from the show resurfaced on social media, including one post that went viral with millions of views. Critics argue that Netflix is slipping gender ideology into family programming, effectively packaging it for younger audiences. That's exactly what they want to do. That's actually been the intent the entire time. It's the intent with Marvel Comics. Remember, comics are just for kids after all. Video games are just for kids after all. Yeah, manga, that's just for anime. That's just for kids after all. Cartoons, those are just for kids after all. Well, hey, guess what? This is a cartoon. So yeah, it is. Dead End Paranormal Park premiered in 2022 and ran for 2 seasons before Netflix canceled it in early 2023. I wonder why. I guarantee you the ratings weren't exactly all that grand for this show. The series, created by Hamish Steele, follows a pair of teens navigating supernatural adventures inside a haunted theme park. The lead character, Barney, openly identifies with a gender that differs from birth. So it's probably a girl pretending to be a boy or a boy pretending to be a girl. But considering the character's name is Barney, it's probably a girl pretending to be a boy. Though the show is no longer in production, it remains on the Netflix platform under the kids and family category with TVY7 rating. And therein lies the problem. At least Disney removed their propaganda episodes from children's entertainment and in some cases didn't even allow them to air. Netflix, on the other hand, it's still on the platform. That classification means the program is listed as appropriate for ages 7. We're talking first, kindergarten in some cases, first and second graders. Gender ideology is what they want to talk about with your first and second graders. A sticking point for parents who see this as an intentional push for identity-based themes into children's media. Musk poured gasoline on the fire when he reposted a cancellation call and wrote, "Cancel Netflix for the health of your kids." And yeah, he later confirmed that he axed his own when we were talking about same. His comments lit up on social media, with a flood of users announcing their own cancellations in solidarity. Whether the movement results in measurable losses for Netflix remains to be seen, but Musk's involvement has amplified the situation far beyond online chatter. And honestly, we've seen a lot of examples of things changing just because Elon highlights things, right? We know he called out Bob Iger practically to his face not too long ago for advertising stuff. He's obviously called them out several times on social media for all of the propaganda they pushed. And guess what? Disney is yanking propaganda from their platform. We heard it from Pixar's former employees that they flat out said Disney did not allow their gay agenda stuff inside of Inside Out 2. And guess what? Inside Out 2 made over $1 billion, whereas this show was canceled over at Netflix. Netflix stock dipped around 2% on the day Musk made his comments, though analysts debate whether that was directly tied to the controversy. Of course, analysts are going to debate that. And you know what? I appreciate the fact that Marvin is going to actually go out there and try to give both sides to just be fair and balanced. But let's be honest, boys and girls, any analysts that are arguing over the controversy as to whether or not this had an effect are literally the people that are okay with showing shows like this to your children, okay? And remind you, 2% equals millions of dollars when it comes to Netflix's overall value. That's how much 2% affects a company like that. The backlash intensified when screenshots began circulating of Paranormal Park creator Hamish Steele allegedly mocking the assassination of the conservative activist Charlie Kirk. We talked about this right here in his own words. Why the F are you even commenting on this? You sympathy for any families being slaughtered by your weapons, but a random Yahtzee gets shot at its public statement. You're such effing evil shit. I mean, so seriously, Like, and this is over on Blue Sky. We saw millions of examples of this. Is there a link to it now? No, but he probably deleted to it, so all we have is screenshots. So that's the best we can do. And guess what? Other than going out there and going, it was taken out of context, that's not what I actually said. Well, I don't see you apologizing for any of it. He says, my Instagram comments are now flooded with replies saying, I am Charlie Kirk, and I celebrate his death, which I never did. Well, I guess saying that it's okay though. You know, your sympathy for any family being slaughtered by your weapons about a random Yahtzee. Well, they might not have been celebrating, but you're pushing the kind of spirit of the age propaganda that got him killed. So there you go. There you go. Lies and slander. Voice actor Zach Barak, who plays Barney, defended the show. Barak openly identifies as transgender. Zach is probably a chick that took some hormones. That's probably why she's got that really weak mustache and beard that differs from birth, and claims the show actually has saved lives. Of course it has, just like the Eternals did. Hey, I play Barney. I'm trans and have been out for 10 years. I'm happier than I've ever been. And if someone had showed me this television program as a kid, it would have saved me years of hating myself. You can fearmonger all you want, but kids and parents have told me it saved their lives. Yeah, tell that to the 40 to 50% of people that your spirit of the age has brainwashed into transing themselves, and how are their lives going these days? Because I think about 40 to 50% of them aren't here to push your propaganda anymore. So what about their lives? What about all of the mutilation and cutting off healthy body parts? But of course, Zach, if that's the case, if, as I suspect, you're actually a female who's pretending to be a boy, well, the only thing you had to do was something that doesn't actually affect whether or not you can be anymore. So I'm not sure exactly how much you feel about those consequences, but I'm sure you're saying you're happier than you've ever been is exactly like the pictures of Ellen Page when she says she's happy as she's ever been by Elliot. Have you seen any of those interviews? Does anybody actually believe that? No. Steele himself previously said that Netflix gave little resistance to his inclusion of pride-centric characters, reflecting the company's reputation for platforming progressive content. That's right. They might cancel it because it doesn't make any ratings and it's not making them any money, and they won't keep pushing it forward, but they'll gladly house and platform and push your propaganda as much as they want. Just at the end of the day, 2 + 2 still equals 4. They have to make money. The only difference is Netflix has got so much damn money, they don't care. They haven't got to the point like Disney and Marvel and DC and Warner Brothers and a lot of the video game industry or EA, where they've run out of other people's money. No, Netflix still has plenty of your money to burn by pushing this propaganda and continuing to promote and fund these shows. I wonder how much long that's going to last, considering all the backlash they're getting in the press. Tell me, what's more important to you? Netflix and chill, or your children's future and the propaganda out there? The question is all up to us. I know for one, my kids will never be allowed on Netflix ever again. At least not until all of this kind of stuff is cleaned house, because after all, I do my best to try to be a good Christian and be as forgiving as possible. So Netflix, if you're willing to change your ways, that's a whole different story. But until then, the uproar has reignited a familiar debate. Is this simply representation, or is it ideology aimed at children? Well, we've always known that the virtue signal has been lies. Don't believe me? What did Disney do to kowtow to the Middle East and the Chinese markets out there? Yeah, that's when all of that went out of the way. That's when they went all out of the way. Critics placing these narratives in a 7+ show crosses the line. Yes, it absolutely does. I don't care about the other side's opinion. We know that it's all lies and it's all propaganda, and their only purpose is to indoctrinate children. Because if that were the case, in Marvel Comics, they wouldn't be using your most well-known characters. Same thing at DC. They wouldn't be using your most well-known characters, use them to push their identity politics. They would create new characters that represented their propaganda. But that doesn't work because, hey, by the way, that whole I Am Not Starfire comic, how well did that sell, boys and girls, with that self-insert? So yes, We know this is not about representation. It's about propaganda, and it always has been, because they know without usurping, without using someone else's platform, without using somebody else's IP like Disney, DC, Marvel, they can't get anywhere with their stories. Or having a platform who's totally down with the spirit of the age and has more money than brains, i.e. Netflix. They can't do this on their own, because if they could, they'd go start a Kickstarter. They'd go do what, I don't know, so many of the absolute comic book legends have out there and gone and made it on their own with their own independent comics. Chuck Dixon is more successful than he's ever been out there. Compass Comics, look at those guys. Created by the Bane guy, absolutely incredible, super successful. These people can't do it without inserting themselves into one of these major institutions out there. And Netflix is perfectly okay with it. For Netflix, the timing couldn't be worse. Already facing fierce competition from Disney Plus, Amazon, and other streamers, the company now faces a cultural backlash fueled by one of the most influential figures in the world. Whether the cancellation wave fizzles or sticks depends on whether parents see dead-end Paranormal Park as another example of corporate media pushing values on children that families never asked for. And any common sense parent is going to see it exactly like that, right? At the end of the day, we know what the purpose of all of this is, just like we knew what the purpose of them hijacking Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Star Wars, DC, Marvel, Warhammer 40K, or just children's entertainment overall. It was always to push propaganda. It's the same reason they infected your school boards out there. It's the same reason they infected the Department of Education. Hell, it's the reason the Department of Education was introduced and created, was to send propaganda to your children, to indoctrinate them into the new modern way of thinking, to infect them and infest them with the spirit of the age, to allow the devil and all of his talking points to possess them and for them to become nothing more than a mouthpiece for his evil and his ick. And Netflix is one of those places that is promoting propaganda and allowing it to target children. And all of us out there, all of us parents that are so busy, whether we've got 1 kid, 2 kid, or in my case is 6, who gets busy, who thinks that maybe, a lot of these major corporations out there still hold some basic common sense, some basic decency, some kind of basic moral fiber that we could all kind of accept and understand. And what fools we have been for oh so very long, because this is just one more example in a laundry list of very long time examples of them pushing this kind of propaganda on your children. And Netflix, now you're just the latest one to come under the microscope that so many others have. You have danced with the devil in the pale moonlight and believed all of his lies, that going down this path and promoting this propaganda and allowing it to continue to be on your platform will cost you nothing and you'll be happy. Well, it turns out the devil's due is indeed come to fruition. The world is calling you out, and the culture does not agree with this propaganda anymore. And now Elon Musk, as the agent of your consequences, has burned you. And at the end of the day, you've done it to yourself, and it's exactly what you deserve. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.